Hello, knowledge seekers. In this episode of 20-Minute Books, we dive into How We Learn by Benedict Carey, a respected New York Times science reporter with a knack for unlocking the mysteries of the human brain. How We Learn unwraps the intricate processes that help shape and preserve our memories, providing us with a deep understanding of how we can harness this knowledge to improve our study habits and learning capabilities. This engrossing read is more than a theoretical exploration. It is a guide filled with practical advice aimed at helping students achieve better grades, professionals enhance their productivity, and anyone curious about the inner workings of their own mind. Carey's expertise brings clarity to the complex functions of the brain in a way that is both accessible and actionable for readers. Whether you find yourself fascinated by the latest psychological research, are aiming to master a new language, or simply striving to retain information more efficiently, How We Learn is your companion for a more informed and successful learning journey. So, if you're eager to tap into your brain's hidden potential and transform the way you absorb information, this episode and book is for you. How We Learn: The Surprising Truth About When, Where, and Why It Happens. Introduction. Unlock the secrets of your brain to supercharge your learning abilities. Imagine this. You're at a bustling social gathering and you've just been introduced to what feels like the 100th person. Panic sets in as you realize you've forgotten their name already. Frustrating, isn't it? We've all been there, and whether it's at a party or in a classroom, the challenge boils down to one thing: learning effectively. But what if you could turn the tables on learning, making it not only effective but efficient too? Yes, it's possible. And it all starts with understanding the intricate dance of memory formation in your brain. By the end of this auditory journey, you'll be armed with robust strategies and intriguing insights that promise to revolutionize your approach to studying and remembering. Whether you're a hard-working student aiming to ace the next exam, or you're simply curious about how to improve your memory for trivia night, this exploration is for you. It's time to delve into the mysteries of your mind, applying science-backed tactics to enhance your recall. And as we unravel these cognitive threads together, you'll also uncover the secret to remembering names effortlessly. Learn how music can be more than just background noise for your study sessions, and even pick up rapid techniques that could have you diagnosing skin conditions like a seasoned dermatologist. Now, let's stretch our mental muscles and embark on a transformative discovery that'll change the way you think about thinking. Part 1. Explore the intricate web of neurons that shapes your memories and defines your learning. Picture this: your mind as an electric metropolis, buzzing with activity, lights connecting at various intersections, each one lighting up to shape a memory. This is essentially what happens in your brain when you learn and remember. At the core of learning lie the neurons. These are the brain's diligent messengers that send signals whizzing through a network of connections known as synapses. Imagine your memory of the first school day. It's not just one neuron at play, but a whole network buzzing with activity, creating a detailed tapestry of that experience. Now here's an interesting quirk about these networks. Every time you dip into these memories, you're not just recalling, you're strengthening the connections. The synapses get thicker, much like a well-trodden path in a forest, making it easier for you to access and recall that memory in the future. But our brain doesn't store every memory in a single drawer. It's a bit more organized than that. The hippocampus is the brain's designated area for concocting fresh, conscious memories. Think of it as your brain's receptionist, taking in the new information, such as someone's name at a gathering. Older memories, on the other hand, get a different storage solution, a place called the neocortex. This means that even when the hippocampus takes a hit, your old memories still have a backup, tucked safely in another corner. The neocortex itself is a compartmentalized affair, having separate departments for movement, vision, and other sensory processing. So, When your brain is on a mission to retrieve the vivid green of your school's hallway, it's actually diving into the visual department of your neocortex's grand archives. This division of labor in your brain means that the multisensory memories, those made up of sights, sounds, and scents, are more robust due to their distribution across multiple areas. Diving into the depths of how your mind stores memories offers not just a glimpse into its complexity, but also enables you to leverage this knowledge. By understanding the neural groundwork of your learning, you can create a stronger, clearer, and more retrievable memory fortress. Part 2. Sleep on it. The undeniable power of rest for mastering new information. You've heard the old saying, early to bed and early to rise. But when it comes to learning, it's not just about clocking in your hours. It's about understanding the profound role sleep plays in memory consolidation and recall. Casting sleep as the unsung hero of learning, research paints a clear picture. Those precious Z's you catch after a day of hitting the books aren't just for rest. They're actively sculpting your brain's memory pathways. Consider a fascinating study that highlights the divide between sleep and wakefulness. Participants were tasked with memorizing rankings associated with various colored eggs. The twist: one group was allowed to sleep before the test while the other had to push through without shut-eye. The well-rested brains clearly reigned supreme, locking in the rankings with a smashing 93% accuracy, leaving the sleep-deprived group trailing with 69%. But sleep isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. It's an intricate ballet of stages, each playing a specific part in the cognitive symphony. Now, suppose you're gearing up for a tough exam. The natural quandary arises: to cram into the wee hours or to rise with the dawn. Here's where understanding your sleep becomes crucial. Imagine your sleep as a time-release capsule for knowledge. The initial hours of the evening are prime time for your brain to cling on to hard facts. So, if you're drilling vocabulary, an early bedtime is your best bet. Conversely, if you're tiptoeing into the realm of creative thinking, let's say piecing together a complex theory or composing music, then nocturnal study sessions might be the key to unlocking your creativity. It's the REM sleep, mostly occurring in the twilight of your slumber, that paves the way for those aha moments. So whether you're a night owl or an early bird, the secret lies in balancing your study habits with the type of sleep that nourishes your particular learning needs. Stay tuned, we'll soon dive into even more practical tips that'll catapult your learning efficiency to new heights. Part 3. Break the monotony. How alternating your study routine enhances memory retention. Here's a radical idea that might just change your learning game. Throw routine out the window. Yes, it might sound counterintuitive, but breaking free from your usual study spot or the familiar playlist humming in the background could be the key to supercharging your memory. Envision your brain as a sponge in an ocean of stimuli, absorbing everything around you as you study. The creak of your chair, the aroma of your coffee, and the ambient noise in your room aren't just background details. They're part of an intricate web of environmental cues that your brain attaches to the information you're processing. Think of these cues as memory anchors, little bookmarks that your brain places within the pages of knowledge you're accumulating. This was brought to light in an experiment where participants learned a list of words with varying musical backgrounds. When the same music played during retrieval, their recall doubled compared to when the tunes changed or went silent. What this tells us is straightforward, yet profound. Your study environment weaves itself into your memory. And if you're always in the same setting, with the same cues, what happens when those cues aren't there during, say, an important exam? To outsmart this, introduce variations in your study habits. This could mean alternating between typing out notes and scribbling them by hand, or switching up your locations. A day in the park followed by an afternoon at the local cafe, perhaps. These small changes do more than just freshen up your routine. They scatter the seeds of knowledge across different regions in your brain. As earlier conversations have shown, this widespread network of memories strengthens your ability to recall information regardless of the environment. So, embrace the diversity in your learning landscape. Mixing it up not only keeps things interesting, but ensures that your brain isn't overly tethered to a single set of cues for information retrieval. Let's discover more about fine-tuning your approach for maximum mental mastery. Part 4. Embrace the rhythm of learning. Why spaced repetition trumps all-nighters. You might take pride in being that last-minute savior of your grades, pulling an all-nighter and somehow scraping through exams with a half-zombified brain. But if you're aiming for true learning, the kind that sticks with you well beyond that test, it's time to ditch the cramming and embrace a different beat. Spaced repetition. Here lies the spacing effect, an approach to learning that favors repetition over time rather than a marathon session of study. Because, let's be honest, your brain does a yawn when asked to go over the same facts time and again in a single sitting. Imagine you're at an event and you meet someone new. You repeat their name in your mind, but by the time you're waving goodbye, their name has vanished into thin air. It's not until you bump into them again, days later, that the name cements itself in your memory. It's this interval, this space between recollection efforts, that amps up the synaptic connections, ensuring the information sticks. Transforming this principle into a practical study strategy doesn't mean studying more. It's all about how you distribute your efforts. Let's say there's an upcoming test in 2 weeks, and you're planning to bank 9 hours of study time. Instead of a stressful, caffeine-fueled cram the night before, consider breaking it up 3 hours of study spread over 3 different dates. This rhythmic study pattern isn't just kinder on your sleep schedule. It turns up the efficiency of your memory retention without demanding a single extra minute of your time. So if you've got your sights set on long-term remembrance, let your learning dance to the tune of spaced study sessions. Part 5. Teach and test, the dynamic duo for solidifying your knowledge. Have you ever experienced the clarity that comes from teaching someone else about a complex topic? It turns out that moment when everything just clicks isn't an accident. It's one of the most effective ways to secure your grip on knowledge. Active recall, the practice of retrieving information from memory, beats passive review hands down. When you're forced to articulate a concept or process without peeking at your notes, you're not just reciting facts. You're forging stronger connections within the neural network that holds your knowledge together. Now, teaching is a powerful tool, but it's not always practical to find a captive audience for a lecture on the nuances of quantum mechanics or the finer points of Renaissance art. So, what's a savvy learner to do? Turn to self-quizzing, of course. Here's a method that might seem unorthodox at first glance. Attempt to answer questions on a new subject before you actually study it. Wrong answers are a given, but that's part of the magic. This process of making educated guesses primes your brain for the learning to come. Ponder this. Students who took a stab at answering questions on a topic yet to be covered, followed by immediate feedback with the correct answers, ended up scoring 10% higher on related questions during their end-term exams. This gem of a finding comes from psychologists at the University of California, Los Angeles, who observed how such pre-tests boosted final understanding. So next time you're gearing up to dive into uncharted intellectual waters, start with a self-quiz. Embrace those wrong guesses as the seeds of future aha moments, and when the time comes, share your newfound knowledge with others, cementing it firmly in your mind. The union of teaching and self-testing isn't just a study strategy, it's the ultimate learning partnership. Part 6. Embrace interruptions. They're not distractions, but rather gateways to better learning. You might think of interruptions as the natural enemy of productivity, the constant nagging that teases your attention away from your work. Yet, in the realm of learning, those interruptions might not be the villains we often make them out to be. In fact, they might just be one of your strongest allies. Let's tackle a common perception head-on, the belief that the most efficient route is a straight line, starting and finishing a task without detours. While that might be true for some activities, when it comes to learning and retaining information, a few detours, in the form of procrastination and interruption, can actually prove beneficial. Let's dig deeper into this with a little help from a compelling study. Participants engaged in several tasks, such as crossword puzzles. Mid-task, some were interrupted, and they didn't get to complete what they started. Yet, when asked later to recall the tasks they'd undertaken, the incomplete ones stood out in their memories. This fascinating outcome illuminates a key insight. Allowing room for interruptions during your learning process ensures the information sticks. It leaves space for your project to percolate in your mind, carrying the potential to spark new ideas and embed the knowledge deeper. Moreover, if you find yourself wrestling with a tricky problem, stepping away can be your best move. Interruptions force you to relinquish tightly held assumptions, granting you the gift of fresh perspective upon your return. Take a mathematic conundrum, for example. Spending hours with furrowed brows and scribbled notes might feel like the right approach, but a break, a walk in the park perhaps, could be the key that unlocks the solution. It's often when our minds wander from the problem at hand that those elusive insights whisper in our ears, seemingly out of the blue. So, the next time a distraction beckons, don't be too quick to dismiss it. Your most profound learning moments may just be hiding within those pauses, waiting for you to stop and listen. Part 7. Diversify your practice and watch your skills flourish. When learning a new skill, repetition is the name of the game, or so we've been told. But what if the key to mastering a skill isn't just relentless repetition, but rather mixing it up? As it turns out, adding variety to your practice could be a game changer. Picture a group of kids learning to toss a beanbag while blindfolded. Sounds straightforward, right? But here's the twist. One group practiced tossing at a consistent 3-foot distance, while another had two varying targets, at 2 and 4 feet. When both groups were put to the test, aiming for a 3-foot target, the second group, the one that hadn't trained exclusively at that distance, won out. What's the takeaway? Embracing a variety of challenges fine-tunes your skill more effectively than narrow, repetitive practice. This approach creates a more flexible skill set that you can adapt to any curveball thrown your way. Now, let's swing this concept over to academics. Rather than hammering away at a single aspect of a subject, shake things up. If you're deep into geometry, don't just memorize the Pythagorean theorem. Apply it across as many different problems as you can find. By exposing yourself to a range of scenarios, you're fortifying your ability to tackle the unexpected. So when exam day comes, and it throws a question at you that's dressed in unfamiliar trappings, you'll be ready to knock it out of the park, all because you chose diversity in your practice sessions over monotony. Part 8. Develop expert instincts by honing your perceptual intuition. Have you ever watched in awe as a baseball player seemingly effortlessly decides whether to swing at a pitch? With the ball hurtling toward them at breathtaking speed, they make a split-second decision that seems almost superhuman. This is the power of perceptual learning in action, a kind of intuition that helps one filter essential signals from the surrounding noise. Perceptual intuition is all about sharpening those snap judgments that become second nature with enough practice. It's the art of tuning into the pertinent information while tuning out the rest. And while it might seem innate to the seasoned pro, it's actually a learned skill. Take rookie pilots, for example. They find themselves inundated with dials and gadgets in the cockpit, each one clamoring for attention. Contrast that with the seasoned pilot who, with a mere glance, can decipher what each instrument is communicating. This is not the work of some congenital knack, but the result of deliberately developed perceptual expertise. And it's not exclusive to pilots or athletes. This ability to discern and dismiss superfluous information can be cultivated in any field with the right kind of practice. Enter perceptual learning modules. Tools encompassing visual cues or short scenarios designed to train the brain in making these quick decisions. Imagine medical students flipping through flashcards of skin lesions, learning to tell one rash from another almost intuitively. This method of rapid identification doesn't just teach, It conditions the brain to feel the right answer. By applying the same principles to your own learning journey, you can start crafting your own perceptual intuition. With enough exposure and practice, you might find yourself developing an instinctual understanding of your study material, allowing you to cut through the clutter and hone in on what truly matters. Final summary. If there's one takeaway from this exploration into the neural landscape of learning, it's that a one-size-fits-all approach does not exist. To truly elevate your ability to study and remember, you need to dive deep into the mechanics of your magnificent brain, understanding how it captures, processes, and retrieves information. This understanding opens a treasure chest of tailored strategies designed to enhance your learning based on the content at hand and the context in which you'll use it. So, whether you're mastering a new language or gearing up for a professional certification, the insights you've gained on memory formation, the spacing effect, varied practice, and perceptual intuition can serve as your compass. By navigating your learning journey with these principles in mind, you can refine your study routines to be more effective, ensuring that the knowledge you gain today will be accessible and usable tomorrow and beyond. Thank you for joining me today on this journey of learning and discovery as we explored the insights of another thought-provoking book in our growing library of knowledge. If you've enjoyed our time together, please take a moment to follow our podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and share 20-minute books with other knowledge seekers. Your support truly means a lot. Don't forget to join me again in the next episode, where we will delve into another enriching book. Until then, happy reading and happy listening.